Welcome to Spotlight On, the must-listen podcast series where visionary leaders, global executives, trailblazing entrepreneurs, and top-tier experts come together to share their inspiring stories and tackle the hottest issues facing businesses today. Brought to you by the Barton Partnership, an award-winning global talent solution organisation, we specialise in executive search, independent consulting, and consulting solutions from strategy through to execution. Our mission? To help businesses accelerate their growth by connecting them with world-class strategy and transformation talent. Tune in and join us as we shine a spotlight on the game changers and thought leaders who are shaping the future of business.
Welcome to Spotlight On, Women in Leadership podcast series. My name is Olivia Stainton, Retail and Consumer Lead here at the Barton Partnership. Today, I am joined by Hanne Andresen. Hanne is the Chief Strategy Officer for Costa Coffee, leading Costa's strategy and transformation team. She is responsible for global category insights, strategic business planning, the transformation office, and project management, with team members based in Shanghai, London, and Atlanta. Hanne is a seasoned corporate strategy and business development professional with over 10 years of experience at the executive level. She joined Costa Coffee in May 2021 from Carlsberg Breweries, where she spent 14 years in roles spanning strategy, business development, and supply chain across Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Asia. She has 2 children who she loves visiting Costa coffee shops with. The order of choice, 2 hot chocolates with extra whipped cream and a cortado, which I'm assuming that last one is for yourself. Hanne, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Olivia. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. So why don't we just dive straight into the first question then? You have a really interesting career. You know, it spans engineering, supply chain, various geographies. So your journey to Chief Strategy Officer at Costa has been an interesting one. What would you say has led you to your role today?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a natural step from where I started. But what I think really has guided my journey so far has been curiosity for solving complex problems. I really love solving a complex problem, and problems come in all shape and formats and different parts of the business. And what has driven me very much from the very beginning is be able to influence decisions as well, which I really feel I can in the strategy. Also, starting in engineering and supply chain really gave me an operational backbone where I could really go deep into problem solving, both across breweries, but also at the shop floor, at the production lines, really understand what it means to implement strategies, but also understanding how important it is that strategies are communicated clearly from the top if you want to implement the change in the operations. I've also had the privilege working across quite some broad set of geographies, as you pointed out, and that's really helped me to be adaptable. And I really understood how important cultural intelligence is to deliver results. It's really helped me challenge myself and made me realize quite early in my career that there are different ways of doing things. And mine is not always the right one or the only way of doing it. And then relatively early in my career, I had the opportunity to step into business and strategy. It's been a great way of combining hands-on implementation, analytical thinking, and long-term vision, and then my curiosity, understanding how things work together, but also being able to influence decisions.
And what drew you to the consumer sector in the first place?
So having spent 14 years in FMCG, with Carlsberg, which I really loved, what drew me to Costa back in 21 was the opportunity to be at the intersection of retail, hospitality, and FMCG, which we all span across, but being in the industries which are direct consumer facing and also fast evolving. Costa has this unique emotional resonance with consumers. I've really experienced that, especially in the UK, where the brand is very established. And it really plays a role in people's lives. So having that direct connection with consumers, and then the category coffee is amazing. It's really part of daily rituals, social moments. And at least when I speak for myself, I'm a much better person after my first cup of coffee in the morning, or cortado, as you just pointed out. And it's just an exciting industry to be in. It is evolving rapidly. Consumer trends are evolving, such as customization, convenience, premiumization are really reshaping how consumers are having their coffee and their rituals. So a lot of interesting problems to solve.
I can imagine, as Chief Strategy Officer in one of the best coffee houses here in the UK, you're really shaping the future of the brand. So What are some of the strategic priorities and challenges that you're focused on right now?
When you look at the world around you, you could almost say, why do I even need strategies which look 3 or 5 years ahead? Because everything is changing all the time anyway. How can you know where we want to be in 5 years? But in my mind, the need for clarity, focus, and direction has just become more evident as we have all that turmoil around us. So for me, the role as a CSO has 3 main pillars or step, as you say. The first one is probably what most people would think about when they think CSO or strategy. It's setting the ambition on where do we want to go, where do we want to be in 5 years. It's agreeing on what markets do we need to play in, what categories and channels do we need to be in, and what enablers do we need. And really prioritizing what to do. That's normally where you have your strategy document and you say you have your strategy. But where the real work as a CSO really comes in is also how do you make these choices you've made simple and clear across the organization? And very much also, what are you not doing? Because you have an organization which tomorrow needs to start implementing a strategy. And it's not like everyone is not doing something today. So what are you stopping doing? And what will you start doing more of or shifting? So it's the classic strategy, defining the strategy, the where to play, how to win, enablers needed. But it's as much about creating that understandable, clear narrative so the full organization knows what does it mean and what am I doing tomorrow to get there. And also ensuring you stay on the schedule and that you have that consistency across. As a CSO, you can get tempted that you every 3 months need to refresh your strategy and give it a new format and make it look fresh. A lot what I've seen in the years I've been in strategy is about consistency and keeping one direction and implementing it. You're not changing a company or implementing strategies in 3 months or 6 months. It takes longer. But to the point I made up front that the environment is changing all the time, I think there's an extra layer coming to the way of doing strategies, and that's implementing the culture of resilience, but also adaptability or agility in the way you think about strategies. So a lot of my time is also spent monitoring what's going on in the world. How does it impact our strategy? Not where we want to go, but how we go there. And do we need to do small tweaks in order to make sure we're going in the right direction, but as small tweaks as possible, because consistency is key when you implement strategies.
And I think that's really clear when we've had previous discussions. It's all about kind of being clear, consistent, but you've also spoken about authenticity as well. And that's been a constant theme throughout your career. So how important is authenticity for you, both in your professional as well as your personal life?
So authenticity and integrity on top of that is a non-negotiable for me. In leadership, for me, it builds trust and psychological safety, both for myself, but also for my team. And I feel it myself when I have an authentic leader versus towards my team. And as a company, it's important as well. Personally, for me, authenticity and integrity means that I'm showing up as myself. I'm not pretending to be someone else. Makes it a lot easier to show up at work as well. And being transparent about what my challenges are, and in particular, active listening, being open about that even though I'm the CSO, I do not have all the answers. I need input from the team, and being open about asking the questions and listening to the input from the team and the organization. And that goes both professionally, but also personally.
Great. And speaking of personal as well, so from Russia to China to Copenhagen, you have a history of working across diverse time zones and locations. You also have a commuting routine that might seem demanding. Have these unique logistical and cultural experience shaped your strategic decision making as well as your leadership skills?
I think so. Working across time zones and culture has been, first of all, a lot of fun. But it's also been a masterclass in being humble about your own abilities and point of views, and being flexible to taking in new ways of doing things. It's taught me really to listen, to understand, and not just listen so I could get to speak again. and not assume that I know the answers and make space for different perspectives, which I really think pushed me to make better decisions and not always going for the default answer, especially in, as we just discussed, a more agile world around us. Being able to understand different perspectives and different angles to problems, which might be totally new, is important to make the right decision. The logistical complexity of commuting has definitely given me a lot of discipline and routines. When your time is limited, you really learn to prioritize what truly matters, and you make most out of your time traveling. When you are in airports and traveling, you have a lot of lost time. Make sure you use it either to listen on a podcast on what's going on in the world or getting some work done. Mm-hmm. And then be fully present on where you are. So when you're traveling, you're present there. When you're at home, you're present where you are. These experiences have also shaped my leadership to be globally minded, because you have had these experiences, but also understanding the local mindsets matter, especially in industries where consumers are so consumer facing than ours. So striking that balance has been really one of the outputs as well.
Great. And I love that point as well about kind of really using that as an opportunity to prioritize what's important. I mean, my commute to work is only a 10-minute cycle. I wanted to ask as well, as a female leader in strategy, have you faced any challenges or turning points that has also shaped your approach to leadership? And how do you advocate for inclusion within Costa or the wider industry?
Being asked, has it been a problem being a woman in strategy? I think the answer is no. But what has been a challenge for me as a woman and having a career is that combination of having to balance family life and a career, as it's required quite some, to your earlier point, prioritization throughout the years. In particular, in my 30s, where I really felt everything was happening at once, I really were challenged and struggled. I was building a home with my partner. I was becoming a mother. And in parallel, you were just about to build your career and having that breakthrough moment career-wise. I was super ambitious. I loved my job, but I also wanted to be present as a mother for my 2 young children. So to be honest, that was quite exhausting. And I think it might have been more exhausting for me as a mother. And there's been times where I really thought, is this worth it? And it was especially in my 30s, I learned about prioritizing hard on what matters and being present where I am at the moment. And it's where I also learned very much hands-on the 80-20 rule, both professionally and personally, on focusing on the 80% which matters and being okay that in some aspects good is good enough. What it also forced me to, which I did a bit less of early in my career, is being very clear on my why. Why am I here? Why am I getting out of bed every morning and going with the commute to my job and my career? What's my purpose and what does it give me back? And then really making sure it's worth it and that you strike the right balance. You will not get the right balance every day, every week, or even every month. But when you look back every half a year, you should feel you are actually having the right balance and you have a balance between your personal and career life you really appreciate. And I see that's probably been the hardest struggle. So what I do today is that I really advocate for inclusion and diversity at Costa, mentoring our young leaders, especially also young mothers, challenging also the bias in decision-making, as we talked earlier, but also being open, authentic about talking about what's hard and what's balancing personal life and careers, and then really advocating for that diverse lived experiences. So it's gender, age, experiences, and functional backgrounds.
Great. And from your perspective as well, how can organizations ensure that more diverse voices, especially women, are represented in these pivotal roles and in leadership?
So just taking a step back, I strongly believe that you need a diverse team to make the best decisions as for the company as an organization, especially in the current environment where it's getting more complex and you just need the different perspectives. And here again, I mean diversity across many parameters. So it's gender, as we just discussed, it's age, lived experiences, geographies, and functional background. Making the right decisions and complex strategic decisions really requires that you look at that problem from different perspectives, in particular when the strategy needs to be implementable. So it's also important that lived experiences, I really feel it helpful having the right diverse set of people in the room so you can also challenge it from different angles. But diversity is not enough. You need to have an inclusive environment. Otherwise, you will not get these perspectives out on the table where there's space for disagreeing, for new ideas, and where the psychological safety is there that you're comfortable speaking up. I really think constructive conflict, which we should not be afraid of, is critical to make sure you're pressure testing and challenging your strategic decisions in general and as an organization. And I really believe organization can foster that diversity by being intentional about how they create their talent pipeline, looking at different parameters within diversity, but also foster a culture of inclusivity. And that's probably even harder because that's a mindset, how you speak, how you show up. And here I really advocate for that and also call it out when I'm in sessions where I see the inclusion is not fully at work.
Great. And I think that's important as well. It's calling out wrong behavior to really make sure that that environment is as inclusive as possible. Final question. So, what advice would you give to women aspiring to leadership roles in strategy in consumer-facing industries?
The first and foremost is be clear on what you want, both your why, but also where you want to go career-wise. The number of times I've been sitting in mentoring sessions with very talented women and asking, what would you like to do next? It's like, what do you think? Or what do you think I can do? And I'm not sure. You really need to take ownership of your career and be clear on what you want. Don't wait for someone to discover you or to guess or seeing, oh yeah, you exactly, that's what you're going to do. You need to be able to be clear towards yourself and you need to be vocal about what you want if you want anyone to help you. And as soon as you say it out loud, it often actually happens. It's manifesting itself. Secondly, also as important is deliver results and perform on where you are. You need to know where you're going, but you also need to deliver and go the extra mile, especially as you're building your career. And then finally, and we talked about that earlier, there will be periods and life stages where you sometimes find your purpose is hard to find or it's getting hard. So make sure you build a network, seek out mentors, supporters, and stay close to consumers and what's happening in the industry. So stay sharp, stay connected, and build that network, especially in times where you're not struggling. So it's there when things get hard. And then in particular for female leaders, please remember your perspective as a female is not a hurdle. It's your superpower. The organization needs diversity. It needs different perspectives to make the best decisions for the future. So don't try to downplay it. It's actually part of your superpower.
A really insightful conversation, Hanne. I've really enjoyed speaking with you today. Thank you so much. Until next time.
Thank you so much.